Hi everyone, we are on part 2, quiz 2 for X marks the spot. We are changing the content a bit, and so now we're going to be focusing a little bit on etymology, psychology, and symbology and history and culture. And there has been quick progress made in terms of the discussion and the analysis, and apparently some individuals are already aware of some of the symbolism related to X and the cultural context in terms of media and popular culture. Now, not everyone is interested in this particular topic. Not everyone is interested in some esoteric type of processing. But again, this is for those who are interested in that type of processing. And so what's going to happen is after this part 2, part 3, and going forward with this particular content, will just be the link will be sent to those who have been participating in part 1 and part 2, quiz 1 and quiz 2, so that everybody else can kind of go on with the general content and they won't be bothered with getting notifications related to X marks the spot. So we're just going to cover a few things before we get to the quiz. We're going to go over some of the quiz responses, and we're also going to go over some background information related to the quiz responses. And so most people think of an X in terms of multiplication or magnification, negation, and confirmation, depending on how the X is used. But we're going to see that the X is a very powerful symbol, and it is multifaceted in its understanding and its usage. And one important and relevant usage is in the popular culture context related to X-Men. And we're just going to go over a couple of responses that were provided by community classroom members. And so we had one individual indicate that what was significant was that this appeared to be related to X-Men and or Wolverine. And we had another individual who indicated that X symbolizes a mark or a target, and both of these are on target. Now, what I want you to do is slow this down so that you can see the screens, because we're just going to quickly go over some of this information en route to quiz number 2. And so this is just some basic information about that construct of mark that one individual suggested related to X. And so X actually means mark. It comes from that idea of a mark. And here the etymology goes into it a little more, and it talks about making an impression. You think about making your mark on the world, you think about making a trademark, and so it's really to identify something. And here you see that indication of X meaning target, meaning sign, as indicated by one of the participants. Mark is also an individual who's been victimized by a swindle campaign. And so here you have mark related to the verb mark, and it means to place a mark on something, to destine something in a particular way. X is quite profound in terms of its meaning and its usage, and so it has what's known as polysemy. It has multiple meanings, so you can use it in many ways, and it is used in many ways. And so when you look in Strong's Concordance, you see this word translating to this idea of engraving or etching. Again, that brand mark, placing a brand on something. And when you think about it that way, sort of Xing something, you think about slavery and putting that brand on an individual. You also have instances where individuals are in fraternities where they actually go through a branding process. And that's basically putting the mark on the individual, the stamp on the person. And this just goes on a little further to talk about this idea of sculpting, engraving, and stamping something, impressing upon something. And that word related to X or mark is charagma. And this gets a little bit more specific with respect to X and mark, and it indicates that it is to sharpen and to engrave, a stamp, an impression, an image formed, a mark. This is even more important because it gets even deeper. And so you can see here that this idea of X and mark indicates a badge of servitude. And so it's talking about a graven mark, but importantly, it is a badge of servitude, a badge of ownership, apparently by whoever is doing the marking. And here in Strong's Concordance, we have another indication, and it is for Karax. And this again is the translation of X, the translation of mark, and the etymology here with respect to Strong's Concordance. And it says it is a pointed stake. And this is a little bit more specific, and it indicates that it relates to sharpen to a point, the idea of scratching something, a stake again. And here's just a little reminder that there are instances where you see other letter combinations that actually have the sound of X. For some of you, it's still important to identify who the person is on the screen. And so you still have those quiz questions related to who is this? And also, what does this X mean to her based upon who she is? What is the significance of X in her world? Okay, quiz time. And this is for you to do a little bit of research and to share your understanding of the information. So quiz question number 1, we have, does X signify any letters, numbers, or words in any language? Number 2, does X signify any other symbols? Okay, looking forward to your continued contributions to this discussion as we go on this journey. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care. See you soon.